Hi there, Chad Gianpedro back again with a weekly check-in. This week I'm going to talk about what Gary Vaynerchuk had to write about homeownership. Cause we're gonna be legends! Well, hey, listen, if you're in the mortgage or the real estate business, you're pretty much aware of Gary Vaynerchuk's comments recently about homeownership, and really didn't really paint a pretty picture. But listen, that's his opinion, right? And listen, I'll preface this, and I've said this in other videos, this is my opinion, right? So we're sharing this information online. In most cases, it's opinion, and I'll tell you when it's a fact, and I'm sure that Gary would do the same thing. But he had it right as it related to himself. Listen, he wasn't talking about the wealth building benefits, the difference between rent and building equity. And for many folks, that's the source of their wealth. He didn't touch on that. He didn't touch on the tax benefits, right? He really didn't touch on that. He really just talked about his personal feelings. But think about that, right? When you have a potential buyer, you're looking at, number one, do they have qualified income? That's the first measure. Can you afford it? And then credit. Do you have viable credit? Have you shown the ability to repay? But then the last, and I think it's the most important, is motivation. Are you motivated to be a homeowner? So Gary talks about the American dream being dead as it relates to homeownership. I don't necessarily agree with that. And listen, there are millions of folks out there that share my opinion of it, but Gary doesn't share that opinion. But again, he had it right as he relates to himself. He talks about it's a bad use of upfront capital. Listen, he would say that maybe you should spend that capital somewhere else and make an investment, not really realizing there's lots of down payment options out there, low down payment options, low down payment programs that will limit how much capital you need to put in up front. Didn't really touch on that. He talked about maybe it's better off to be in a Lambo than it is to be in a home. And I'll tell you, if that's the type of mentality that an individual has as a borrower, okay, you don't want that borrower in a loan, because when times get tight, if they get tight, the probability of them paying is going to go significantly down. But if you look at Gary Vaynerchuk in and of itself as a qualified buyer, absolutely, he's going to have the income. The guy's a rich guy, right? He's certainly going to have great credit, or I would believe that he would grab great credit. But he's missing a primary element, which is the motivation, the understanding of what homeownership brings to the table. And for him, it's really irrelevant, right? He doesn't need it. So he was right as it relates to himself, but not as it relates to others. But if you think about this, why do you think that they have, for many programs, home ownership counseling? It's about setting the stage, understanding the risks, the responsibilities, and the benefits that come from home ownership. And if you look at the risks versus the benefits, and for you, the risks are not worth it, you should not be applying for a loan, you should not be buying a home. You should rent in that scenario. And in that case, Gary has it right as it relates to himself. His opinion is it's not worth the risk. I don't get enough benefit from it. And for that scenario, he's really not a viable buyer, in my opinion. So listen, we've talked through this, and I think that as an advisor, whether you're a real estate agent or you're a mortgage originator, your job as an advisor is to really set that educational stage, right? You are the one that are talking about what the qualifications are to own a home, and as a part of that, you should be adding in, here are the risks of home ownership. Here are the rewards, and allowing your potential customer to make that decision. But listen, we all know, right? If we're in this business, when folks are coming to us, they already know that they want to buy a home. In most cases, they're coming to us within their mind's eye, the home that they want to buy or build. And we are a vehicle to help make that dream happen. So in no way do I believe that the American dream is dead as it relates to home ownership. It may be dead for Gary Vaynerchuk, but I think, over the course of a period of time, we may win this guy back as his fortune grows. He'll be thinking about investing in real estate. It's a really safe investment. So, we certainly appreciate Gary and his opinions, even though you might not agree with them. This is really, in social media today, it's a great forum to be able to debate that, and we can use it as an opportunity to show an example and educate our potential buyers. I appreciate you guys taking time with me today. I'll be back again next week. Take care.